All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular board meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 20th, 1st. I want to make sure I have the date right.
2026.
2026.
Welcome,
Welcome,
everybody.
everybody.
Sorry,
Sorry,
we're
we're getting
getting
a bit of
a bit of an echo.
Okay. We are getting started a bit late. We were in executive session that ran a little bit late. We had to discuss some legal matters and some personnel matters. With that said, why don't we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. All right. The mission of the school district of Springfield Township is to educate and develop all students as learners and citizens who are high achieving, resilient, and responsible in a changing global community. Ms. Green, I'll turn to you to do roll call, please.
Thank you. Dr. Aberly, Mrs. Bell.
Here.
Mr. Brett.
Here.
Mr. DeFranco.
Here.
Katie Davenport.
Here.
Mr. Jordan.
Here.
Mrs. McGranahan.
Here.
Mr. Needleman.
Here.
Mr. Bedard.
All right, the board at its discretion may videotape all or any portion of a public meeting subject to the limitations set forth in policy 006. Board meetings, to the extent they are videotaped, will be broadcast on Friday afternoon following each board meeting. I'll turn it over at this time to Dr. Yannicone for an administrative report.
Thank you, Mr. Needleman. Good evening, everyone. We have a robust agenda tonight, so I'm going to be brief in my regular report. I was thrilled to attend the middle school production of SpongeBob SquarePants, the musical, Youth Edition. It's the last time I'm going to get to say that, on Sunday. As I shared with Director Jillian Klock and Assistant Director Sarah Bauer, the talented cast, exceptional crew, vibrant costumes, and entertaining special effects and sets made for terrific entertainment. Thank you to everyone who brought the show to us. Tomorrow night is third grade transition night at Erdenheim. Families will meet our administration and take tours of the school with current third grade students. All are welcome. This Friday, high school students will enjoy a career day in the morning before heading to the prom in the evening. Next Tuesday is sixth grade transition night at the middle school, and next Thursday's informational sessions will be held for families of current sixth and seventh graders. Kindergarten roundup takes place next Tuesday and Thursday during the school day, and PSSA testing takes place this week and next week. So as we wrap up the month of April, we have a lot going on these last few weeks. In addition, under the agenda for board members, under Human Resources, you're going to find a series of contract renewals for updated rates for services for next year. In addition, under Academic Affairs, you'll see an extension of our K-8 Envision Math program for 1 year, which was discussed at Academic Affairs. So I'll leave that to KD to describe. We also have revised calendars for the next 3 years. Under Finance, we will present the proposed final budget for next year, and we'll accept a donation from Giant for over $8,000 from that ongoing program where people are providing that as they food shop. And then under policy, we have 4 policies that were reviewed in committee back in the winter that we are bringing forward for their single readings. Exemption from instruction, dress and grooming in alignment with the Crown Act, and social media guidance. Specifically, the changes are around school directors' use of social media and third-party group use of social media. And at this time, I'm very excited to bring up Mr. Larocco and Mr. Ferraro and some of our students who are going to be presenting on excellence in engagement at Springfield Township High School, tonight's Spartan Spotlight. Mr. Wren, I'm going to make sure you have that slide presentation. Thank you. And Dr. Rittenhouse, it's all yours.
Good evening, everybody. As you can see on the projector, it is my pleasure to introduce our Spartan Spotlight this evening, Excellence in Student Engagement at SDHS. It's a look at the participation, competition, leadership, and culture that defines our extracurricular programs this year. And figured I'd shake things up a little bit, wear some Spartan wear for once. And I have my 10 years ago, maybe varsity baseball hat and my official esports jersey on, of course, matching with steel slacks. So navy blue and steel, of course, always. So thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce Assistant Principal Pierre LaRocco and Athletic Director Joe Ferraro, who will begin our Spartan Spotlight. And thank you, students, for coming this evening from your busy schedule.
Thank you, Dr. Rittenhouse. So I wanted to start by giving an outlook on some athletic programs and really a look kind of at the numbers of athletics. If we can go ahead and advance. It's on the table. Oh, look at me. I have the power. Look at that. Perfect. So just a quick snapshot of athletics. Throughout the course of the school year, we have had 516 unique student athletes. Here at the high school, that is 66% of our entire population, which is tremendous. And when you look at, combining the amount of total students that participate in each season, when you take into consideration, dual sport athletes and athletes that participate in all 3 seasons, we've had 868 students participate in our programs. We have 30 total sports offered at the high school, and that accounts for 54 total teams. And throughout the fall and the winter, 18 of our 22 varsity teams participated in some postseason competitions. So we have been super excited about our athletic programs and the amount of participation we get from the students and the success that they've had on the fields. Mr. LaRocco is going to speak to our clubs and activities.
I appreciate that, Joe. So our clubs and activities, we have 44 total activities. They include some competitive clubs and just some clubs that students are interested in doing things like the ski club. We have 438 students that participate in our activities, which is 56% of the total population here at Springfield at the high school. And we have 254 students that participate in more than one activity.
An area we give our sense of belonging survey to our students. We've done it for several years. You can see 96% of our students feel positive sense of belonging, and 96% identify that they have a trusted adult at the high school, which I think is a really critical statistic, somebody that can speak to. And 98% feel safe at school, and we get about three quarters of the kids respond to the survey, which is a nice number, particularly during homeroom. I know that is a survey frenzy sometimes for me, so which I appreciate, but we're really proud of those numbers. If you look at the MELD, it's over 96%, and we're extremely proud of those numbers. And we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight.
So obviously we're excited about the numbers, but what we wanted to do tonight was try to explain why those numbers exist and what we believe to be a reason why kids continue to participate in our programs. So one, between the extracurricular activities and the athletic programs, it is by far the largest co-curricular opportunity that we run in the school district. So we're excited that, we have consistent high participation rates amongst both athletics and activities. But one thing that we really enjoy is that we have been deliberate with trying to find opportunities to recognize and celebrate the successes of our kids. Last year, in the athletic department, I instituted a Student Athlete of the Month program, and I've tried to celebrate our coaching staff, our wonderful coaching staff. And then the high school administrative team kind of met. We talked about how can we make this bigger, how can we make this better, and we've expanded that to the entirety of the school. Now we select student athletes or activity students that we celebrate as a whole school assembly, students that get recognition from our Eastern Center of Arts and Technology, and we recognize kids from every grade level that are, nominated by teaching staff that they're doing great things. So we have been deliberate in trying to recognize the excellence of our students, and I think because we've really put a focus in on creating an environment where kids feel heard and seen and valued, they continue to come and participate for us. So just some snapshots of some of the things that we've done on social media to try to celebrate our kids, our coaches, our staff, etc. We have seen a huge positive outpouring of support from our community. for some of the things that we've done. And with us today, I have 4 students that are involved in countless things that they'll talk about. And I thought that it'd be important for you guys to hear from them about why it is so exciting to be a Spartan. So if you guys want to come on up, introduce yourselves.
Yeah, usually the ladies start first, but it's okay. I'm Will McLaughlin. I am varsity captain I was for the soccer team, basketball team, and currently for the unified track and field team. I'm a part of NHS. I'm a co-president of student council, and I'm also a part of Interact.
Hi, my name is Ava Color. Um, sorry. I'm the vice president of Voices of Excellence, and I was the captain of the girls basketball team.
Hi, I'm Grace Bell. I am the goalie for the field hockey team. I'm in pep band, jazz band, symphonic band, pit orchestra, Monco band, choir, and that's it.
Hi, my name's Madeline. I take part in a lot of things, so I'm just listing them out really quickly. I was captain for water polo. I do swim and lacrosse, and then I really like to stay active in my club. So I was the president of DECA this year and vice president of YAG, and I also was treasurer of student council. So, yeah.
Well, I just want to give the kids an opportunity. I have some questions listed out. I want to give them an opportunity to talk about their experiences. So, for any of you, Will, you have the mic. We'll start. What made you join? Okay. I'll reiterate. So I just want to give the kids an opportunity to talk about what they're involved in and give them a chance to speak about what it is and why they got involved and what made them come back. So I'll go ahead and I'll pass it back over to Will. So Will, what made you join in the first place?
Sports wise, definitely just like love for the game, and then coming back each year, definitely my coaches and my teammates. Like I've met my best friends from playing soccer from the summer into the fall. And I've had coaches along the way that have helped me through everything. So they've definitely been supportive throughout everything I've done here at Springfield. And it's really like a loving, through my experience, it's been like a loving and very supportive experience.
So Ava, thank you. What made you keep coming back to VOE and to basketball?
For VOE, it's definitely like it gives you a sense of like family. Coming from a different school district and then seeing what VOE does, it made me feel like I had another community inside the school. And for basketball, the same thing, just with sports. And the coaches really helped a lot too.
And Grace, I know you're involved in a ton, but can you share a moment where you felt recognized at school or valued in a part of one of your many organizations?
Yeah. So sports wise, I feel very recognized with my coaching staff. You know, they not only teach me good skills, but they teach me valuable life lessons, and I will always take that with me. And you know, it's definitely a tough love moment, and I got that a lot from my coach, and I'm very thankful for her. As well as music, I've always been inspired to do more. I've always been pushed more, and I think that's what draws me to do better. And now here I am going into college for music. I'm so thankful, you know, coming up to the high school and having that staff that always pushed me and wanted me to do more. I don't think I would be here where I am today without them.
Thanks, Grace. And Maddie, how has being a part of your many groups impacted your life outside of school?
Oh, that's a really great question. So I think outside of school, it really helps me, especially DECA and YAG. It's helping me become a little bit more well-spoken and more confident in the things that I do. Even in my interactions, like when I'm meeting new people, especially with college around the corner, it's giving me the confidence to go into these things, just feeling more ready to take on the challenge. So, yeah.
And then for anybody that wants to answer this last one, why do you think that so many people get involved and stay involved at Springfield Township High School?
I'll take this question. I think no matter what you do, sports or music, yeah, Springfield's a relatively small school, so you do feel a sense of community no matter what. But especially in like aquatics and in like the smaller groups, you really do feel a sense of community and family. And I think the rest of my peers up here can back me up on this. You build really strong friendships and connections, and that's why we keep coming back. So, yeah.
Thank you, guys. And thank you all to the board and to the administration. You know, obviously you guys have continued to support the programs that we offer here at the high school and within the district. And I just want you guys to have an opportunity to see the folks that you guys impact on a regular basis and all the positivity that it's brought us and them and our school community. So thank you.
Thank you. Does any member of the board have a comment or question? Yeah,
I
please.
do. I just want to say you're, in the beginning, the slides with the percentages that do sports and clubs, that was really amazing. If you can find a way to add one more box. So I guess maybe some of the kids who couldn't do clubs are already busy in sports, some way to percentage the kids who are outside of the school day doing something. Because I think that would be even higher than.
Those are conversations Mr. LaRocco and I have all the time about what is it, who are the kids that aren't involved in one of our things, and why is that the case? And more often than not, we find it's because they have a job, or they're involved with their church, or they're doing something that has occupied their time outside of what we've offered. But we try to wrap all of those kids up as much as we can. Thank you. Good suggestion. Of course.
So, as like doing a lot of things as well as music and sports, you have to be very flexible with your schedule. And I've been so thankful to have a lot of support within being flexible. Like I've had coaches let me leave early. I've had, directors let me come late. And it's just like, that's the type of environment where people want to keep coming back because you're allowed to do all the things that you want to do. So, yeah. Go for it.
All right. Anybody else?
Dr. Yannick.
Dr. Yannick.
I just want to say, because I don't get this opportunity too often, but first of all, thank you all for being here. We know how busy your schedules are, so I really appreciate you taking the time and us running late, still taking more time. Grace, I can't tell you how thrilled I am that you're going to study music because I've been watching you now for the 8 years I've been in the district, and I am thrilled that you're taking those talents to the next level. Could the rest of you share, what are you going to study next year? What are you doing next year?
I've learned my lesson. Be my friend.
I'm probably going to be, I'm not like 1,000% sure, but I'm probably going to Penn State, and I'm undecided right now, but I'm probably going to do something in the business realm. So I'm very excited about that.
Fantastic.
So I'm actually going to Westchester for music ed and studio composition. So.
I'm committed to Widener University for basketball, and also doing the military after.
Very nice.
I'm going to Penn State for mechanical engineering next year.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations to all of you, and good luck. And good luck with the May 1st decisions. I didn't want to ask that question because I know it's not May 1st yet.
Thank you again, everybody.
Can I make just one last comment? I thought during your presentation, the inclusion of the belonging study and a presentation about participation in the sports world largely was really, really commendable and really unique. And it really drove everything home and how tightly connected sports can be to increasing a sense of belonging, which is, I think, why we're all here. So
Thank you.
kudos. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. I do. Mr. Farrow, do you mind handing me that clicker? Thank you. I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks.
All right. So we have one more presentation tonight within my report. Apologies for the long agenda. But we have the 26-27 final budget proposal. And Mr. Wren is going to cue that up. It's not nearly as much fun, but the budget does make all of that possible. Mind everybody.
Now the technology works.
Yes. All right, fantastic. So this is our 26-27 proposed final budget presentation. The Finance Committee had this presentation last Thursday morning, and we're going to bring it forward to all of you because it is on the agenda tonight for your approval. I'll start with the guiding principles. Anytime we are building a budget, and for the public, if you're watching this, anytime we're building a budget, we try to stay focused on these guiding principles, which we've had in place throughout my tenure. We want to make sure that we are focused on meeting the needs of all learners first, making sure that we have a variety of opportunities for enrichment and academic programming, making sure that our campus and facilities are safe, vibrant, engaging, and a complement to the learning community, making sure that our technology resources for instruction and student learning and infrastructure are effective, that they work, and that they're safe for all students and for staff. We want to make sure that we continue to provide supports for social emotional resources for our students and for our staff. And we want to make sure that professional learning keeps our staff at the cutting edge of teaching and learning. And so these are our guiding principles. And with that, I'm going to turn things, well, I'm going to continue. I apologize. I'm going to continue. So our current budget, which we haven't yet exhausted, is our 25-26 budget. And just a couple of things I want to highlight for you there. We've had some ongoing district-wide preventative maintenance, both under the operational and the capital improvements. Among those items was phase 3 of the high school roof project. As you know, that was a multi-year project for a very large roof that was moving towards the end of warranty. So we wanted to make sure we got that done. In addition, we had a third bond issuance of $10 million towards the middle school renovations and addition project. Apologies, fourth bond issuance. Third, no, I was right the first time. Third bond issuance, thank you. Thank you. That's right, because we just did 26-27, which was the fourth. In technology, we replaced all of our Chromebooks for the middle and the high school, and our students are thrilled with the faster speed and the variety of features of the new Chromebooks. We also updated and upgraded all of our phones to Zoom phones, which allow for in real time, in classroom, virtual conferences with families and with other resources, guest speakers, et cetera. And so we had phase 1 of that Zoom phone upgrade, and we're in year 4 of the cybersecurity plan, which, as you know, is essential to the safety of all of our programs and systems. In staffing this year, we were able to add a secondary music teacher in orchestra, which, as you know, is a program that we started several years ago at the elementary school. We were able to neutrally fund that by reducing 1 middle school PE and health teacher upon retirement. So no reduction in force without attrition. So through, I think, a respectful measure of reducing staff in that area. And then we've added several extra pay for extra duty positions and a Relay for Life advisor at the high school, a volleyball coach for the junior varsity at the high school, which is one of our growing athletic programs here. And then a third wrestling coach, because the PIAA added female wrestling program, and we were able to provide students interested in that program. And so we added a third coach. And then in addition to that, we have our contracts with all of our major bargaining unit groups. And those costs in front of you are the 1-year costs for the increase in salaries based on existing contracts. And that represents over 500 staff members. I'll turn things over to Kara Green now.
Thank you, Dr. Yannicone. These next 2 slides are, I believe, great visuals to give us an idea first of where our funding comes from, and then second, how our budget is allocated throughout of our expenditures. So on this slide, you'll see the big blue piece of the pie. That is local revenue. Local revenue accounts for about 79% of our overall budget. Out of that big slice, 86% of that is real estate taxes. Other areas in our local revenue are earned income taxes and earning on investments. But as I said, the big slice of that piece of the pie is our real estate taxes. The lighter shade of blue, which is the second biggest, is our state revenue, which is about 20% of our overall budget, which is comprised of basic ed subsidies, special ed subsidies, transportation. We get 50% reimbursement of both our PSERS and our Social Security. And then there's some other subsidies and grants and reimbursements that we get from the state. But those are the big chunks of those. And then that very little sliver that you see there, that would be our federal resources, and that's about 1% of our budget. So those are title funds and access funds. On the next slide, this identifies how our funding is allocated. So all that revenue coming in, how do we allocate it across our budget? So the 2 big blue pieces that you see there, instruction, which is about 52%, and support services, which is about 33%. That is all of the resources that go into our students and student achievement. So the big slice, the blue slice, that is direct instruction. So that is what happens in the classrooms. That's teacher salaries and benefits, that's resources, that's Chromebooks, that's whiteboards, anything that goes in as curriculum that goes into the direct instruction of students is in that piece of the pie. Support services makes up the other big portion of our budget. Support services is anything that supports student achievement and students. That's anywhere from mental health through our guidance counselors, through our psychologists, that's building, central administration, that's facilities, transportation, human resources, technology. So those two big pieces are where you see the most of the funding going to, because again, that supports student achievement and the well-being of our students. That very small sliver is a 2%. That's non-instruction activities, which segued right from what just got presented. So those are the funds and the dollars that go into our student activities and our athletics. And then I did try to keep in with the school colors. I like to do that for Dr. Yannicone, but I ran out of shades. So I thought it was ever fitting to make debt service and leases green because that represents money. So our debt services, as you know, is our annual debt service payment. And then based on how we have to code our leases, which are devices for students, our copiers, anything that we have lease agreements with, that's also in that portion. So that's about 13%. So that is how our funding is allocated throughout our budget.
Can I interrupt with a question?
Sure.
I'm sorry, before we go too much farther. Can we go back a slide?
Sure.
I'm late on this. So I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right thing. So the federal government portion of the budget is less than $100,000?
That would be correct.
Okay. And okay.
No, it's 572,000.
Oh,
It's
5, okay,
1%.
okay,
Yes.
okay. But it okay. It's 1% of the budget. Fair enough.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. I just want to make sure I'm reading that right. Thank you.
So this next slide, and the finance committee is bored with this slide by now because we do repeater slides a lot, so that we are really well versed by the time we get to this point. But you'll see this again later in the presentation. This is the budget process timeline. What's important here is you'll see that administration has been working on budget for 26-27 since October. So we really put a lot of work into this, and it really takes the entire year to create the budget for the following year. The Pennsylvania Department of Education requires the board to take 3 action steps. So by law, you have to approve 3 things. The first one is the opt-out resolution, which we did in November. The second is the proposed final budget, which is on the agenda to be approved this evening. And the third is the final budget adoption, which that will occur on June 16th. So this is the timeline on the different meetings and the different key milestones that the board has to participate and the finance committee has to participate. Next slide. This is just a quick high-level review of the budget process. And I condensed this into one slide, but I do really want to emphasize that it does not reflect the effort and the time that administrators put into this process. Again, it starts in October. If you think about the school year, you know, building principals and departments are just getting back and kicking off the new school year. And then I'm asking them to start thinking about next year. So this is a long and intensive and collaborative process with how we build the budget. So the business office establishes the revenue budget. We use historical data, the current economic climate, and external data from different third-party sources. The business office, in collaboration with the Director of Human Resource and her department, create the personnel budget. So this is salary data derived from contractual agreements, which I'm happy to say Dr. Yannicone reported earlier. We went into 25-26 and we're going into 26-27 with all contracts settled. That makes this process a lot easier because there's not any question marks or unknowns. And then benefit data is derived for contractual agreements and certified annual rates. And then another key point that Dr. Yannicone reflected on earlier is that staffing is reviewed to maximize efficiency while meeting district needs. So there is a process that got put in place that we review every retirement that comes in to ensure that we go through that process to ensure that that position has to be replaced. And if we can find some savings in attrition, which we'll talk about later in this presentation. And then the building budget administrators, they create a budget based on an allocation. We've switched them from zero-based budgeting to an allocation. We have enough historical data over the 6 years of my tenure here that we can now trace back and see what their spend is to give them an allocation that ensures that they are meeting the needs of what they need in their building based on that allocation. And then the department budget administrators create zero-based budgets. The departments have to have a little bit more flexibility because of the ever-changing times and the supports that they have to provide to the buildings. And just before we move on for this, again, I would just want to give a big thank you to all the administrators and their staff and the work that they have put into this budget. This process is very collaborative. They do a great job. They're very intentional about ensuring that we meet the needs of the students, but being fiscally responsible as well. So just kudos and thank you to the department heads and the building administrators. This next slide is just a look. We're going to switch gears a little bit. We always like to put the state of economy to see how that impacts our building the budget. So as of March 2026, the U.S. inflation rate was 3.3%. This rate impacts the costs of goods and services. The establishment of this rate is about 0.9% higher than the previous year, and it's mostly attributed to a 12.5% annual increase in energy prices, which surged 10.9% in March of 2026, with gasoline prices increasing 21.2%. So I always say this, many people believe that because we're a school district and a public school district, we're exempt from all of this. We are not. So as individuals go to the grocery store, go to the gas station, the prices that you feel is the prices that districts feel. So again, we have to account for that when we are budgeting for just the basis of what people have in their budgets from the previous year, because the cost of those goods and services are driven by the state of the economy. So Dr. Yannicone's taking the next slide, but if you have anything to add before discussing the federal and state funding,
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
gonna hand it over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do that. And I did share this at the Finance Committee meeting. The state of the economy right now is unpredictable and volatile. And as a result, it is more challenging than usual for Ms. Green to prepare a budget that will be responsive to whatever may come next year. So as you'll see in the next few slides, we've really tried to be conservative in our planning, but also keep in mind that we don't know what fuel costs will be 6 months from now or 10 months from now. And fuel costs impact everything else. They impact all the goods and services that we utilize as a team. And we also know that they impact families at home. And so we do try to keep all of that in mind, but we do want the public to recognize that this volatility and unpredictability is making the budget process more challenging. With regard to federal and state education funding, Mr. Needleman pointed out that federal funding only accounts for 1% of our budget. We are seeing a reduction over the last 15 months or so in the allocation of federal resources. And we are doing our best to respond to that and continue to offer all of the services that we have in place, because again, that top guiding principle is meeting the needs of all students. With regard to Title I through IV funding, Title I funding, you'll see a more specific number a little later, but we do anticipate and we have planned for a full elimination of Titles II through IV. We've been directed to make that have that anticipation that the federal government will not be funding Titles II through IV moving forward, and so we've zeroed out those lines. That is approximately $90,000, and more on that in a moment. IDEA funding, those funds are passed through and managed by the IU. These are our funds for students with special needs. It supports 5.5% of the district's special education budget, so a piece of the special ed budget. And our current year's allocation was a reduction of 5.5%. I'm going to sneeze, so I apologize. Or I might not sneeze. Let me see if I can stop it. And so we're seeing a reduction in what the federal government is allotting to our school district, regardless of the number of students we serve or the complexity of the needs of those students. They see us as a district with a strong financial position, and as a result, they don't see us having the needs that other districts have. And so we work to try to advocate for an allocation, but currently we're not seeing those numbers materialize. One positive under the federal funding is that access funding, which supports a little over 3% of our special education budget, including our extended school year services, has been stable. So that's been a bright point in the federal funding picture. At the state level, as you know, last year we had a significant delay in the receipt of state funds. They didn't settle the budget until November. We've had information to suggest that there's some optimism about the potential for an on-time or perhaps not quite as delayed budget, but we are planning for a delay. I can see the shaking of heads that despite the optimism of some, we are planning for another delay in receipt of funds. Last year, it was well beyond the first quarter before we received money. And so you can see there, the governor has proposed a $53.3 billion budget for the coming year. We do not anticipate him getting everything he's asked for, but just in case he did, if he did, what the district would realize is $17,604 in the basic education funding. That would be the total increase in the budget. And then we would see a drop in our special education funding per his budget of just over $19,000. So the net effect of the district's anticipated funding from the federal and state governments is a net loss. And that's where we are. That's how the district is viewed by state and federal governments. We're in a good, solid, strong financial position from their perspective. And so we need to rely overwhelmingly on local revenue sources. Any questions on, we've given you a lot of information and we're not done, but any questions thus far? All righty. So to the numbers. Ms. Gray.
Okay. What is needed in additional tax revenue from the community to continue to provide a high quality educational programs for our students? We are proposing for the proposed final budget a 3.5% proposed tax increase. Our anticipated expenditures are $78.1 million with anticipated revenues of $77.4 million. The difference, which will be supplemented from fund balance, is $715,000 and some change. We will get more into how we got to this place and where the differences were from first look budget that we reviewed in finance committee to where we are right now. Before we get there, I always say that this, to me, is a very important slide. It gives a historical outlook of the Act 1 index and our tax increases. It also provides information on what's called the MV-PI aid ratio. This, and you'll see it, it's very little at the bottom. I put explanations down there, but why that ratio is important is because it measures the wealth in a district in relation to the state average. So that range is from 0.1500 all the way up to 0.7259. So it measures the wealth or the poverty of a district. As Dr. Yannicone said in the federal and state slide, that the state and the feds, they see us as a very relatively wealthy district. So that MV-PI aid ratio, we are at 0.1500. So that indicates that we are on the high end of our wealth being measured. So the other piece of this is I just want to point out that we are about 0.5% down of increasing taxes from where we were last year. And then the moving trend moving forward is that the Act 1 index is projected to decrease over the next 4 years and then flatline. So we're experiencing the ability to leverage taxes and additional revenue. That is starting to decrease. Why that is so important is because on the slide that Dr. Yannicone talked about federal and state funding, those funds are starting to decrease. So the ability for additional revenue to come in is starting to go down. And that is what we have to pay attention to in future budgets. So we're going to get into slides. My revenue and expense slide will look very very much the same. So it follows the same pattern. We're looking in the second column, the first light blue column, that is the 25-26 approved budget. The next column over is what was presented to Finance Committee in the first look budget. And then the next column over is the 26-27 proposed final budget, which we are proposing and asking for approval or adoption this evening. And then the last column is any changes. As you will see, there was no changes. There was no change in revenue assumption from the first look budget to the proposed final budget. Next slide. On the expenditure side, it goes the same way. Approved budget from this year, first look budget, proposed final, and changes. You will see that there's two areas that there were some changes in expenditure assumptions. And I will get into that on the next slide. It gives a little bit more detail about where we landed with our decrease of about $496,000. So our changes to our budget assumptions, as I said, we had a total decrease of $496,000. The first part of that was through attritional savings in our salaries and benefits of about $260,000. The other section of that was our debt service. We had a decrease from first look to proposed final of $236,000. That was attributed to our recognition of refunding of our 2018 series bond. That came in very well. We had more savings than we had anticipated, so we were able to recognize that. And as well as what we had originally budgeted or anticipated based on market value when we went out for our 26 bond issuance, which is our fourth bond issuance for the middle school project. Due to our very strong credit rating, our strong fund balance, we are looked at in the market as a very good entity to invest in. So we had a lot of bidders, and the interest rate and what we garnered from that was more positive than what we had initially thought at the time that we did first look. So we were able to have a savings and a reduction of $236,000 from our initial debt service projection. That is a decrease in the use of fund balance from the first look from 1.2 million down to 715 million. So as thousand, I'm sorry. As requested, sorry about that. As requested by the Finance Committee, we went. It is a fund balance if it's that, right? So as the Finance Committee asked, we went back and sharpened our pencils a little bit, and we were able to find additional savings to reduce the use of fund balance from the initial $1.2 million. This is something that we always bring forward to the Finance Committee, is to give different tax increase options. So we ranged from 3% all the way to 3.5%. So it shows the additional revenue that is garnered from the increases, the different tax increase options, the impact on fund balance, and then the impact on the median homeowner, both from an annual and a monthly perspective. We are at the far right at 3.5%. It'll garner us about almost $1.9 million of additional tax revenue. Fund balance will be $715,000 and some change, with an annual impact on the median homeowner of $218 and some change, which equates to a monthly amount of $18.18. This does not reflect the homestead farmstead reduction. So if a homeowner is eligible for this reduction, they will get a rebate or a credit on their tax bill. And then it also does not reflect the district's rebate programs, which are for seniors and for volunteer firefighters. So that's exclusive of any of those rebates. And I will hand the next two slides over to Dr. Yannicka.
Okay, so again, we're requesting a 3.5% increase in taxes for the coming year in order to accommodate this budget. So here's what we get for that additional revenue. First of all, in salaries and benefits, we have 4 existing contracts. As Ms. Green mentioned earlier, these are the costs for those contracts already agreed upon. So this was built into the increase from the outset. In addition, we are requesting to expand the volleyball program, which has been very successful at the high school. The middle school is eager to be able to continue to send students with that experience. And so we're looking at adding a single program at the middle school for next year, and likely the following year we'll come back for the second program at the middle school, and then we'll be all wrapped up for volleyball in our secondary programs. And then in addition to that, we have a number of programs that have been in place for some time at the high school, and they have been voluntary. And we'd like to pay the advisors a nominal amount of money in order to continue to do work with our students in these areas. And so these are some of the upfront costs that are added into the budget from the operating side. And then in addition to that, we have several other areas under technology. We'll be implementing year 5 of the cybersecurity plan. We also have a data security platform called Varonis that we'd like to add specifically. We want to replace all of our desktops district-wide. So these are, we've done the Chromebooks over the last few years and the iPads. We want to be able to replace all the desktops, which are also aging, our 3D printers, which are aging, and then we have 15-year-old high school TV studio equipment. The students are ready for the next level. We'd like to be able to accommodate that request and replace the TV studio equipment here at the high school. Under curriculum and instruction, we talked about the K-8 math curriculum replacement here at Academic Affairs yesterday. And so we'd like to purchase those materials and then implement in 27-28. And then under facilities, we have our ongoing preventative maintenance in the 5-year capital and operations plan. We also have some specific projects here listed as a reminder: middle school painting and furniture in the common areas and classrooms to follow the completion of the renovation and addition project, furniture and room identification signage here at the high school now that we have completed the painting here at the high school. We have one more mower to replace, and then we think we'll be good for another 15 or 20 years. We have Zero Eyes implementation, which was discussed at property committee meeting. This is a security feature. Church Road camera surveillance. Currently, we do not have cameras at Church Road, and we'd like to add those for the safety of the campus. And then we'd like to replace all of the exterior door locks across the district, again, from a security and safety standpoint.
Okay, so the next 2 slides shows a budget history, and it shows a little bit more detail of the budgets that were approved over the years with the difference of use and fund balance, and then it compares it to what was audited, so actual year to date, with surplus deficit identified, and then fund balance beginning and end, and then again, a snapshot of the Act 1 index and the district's taxes. So on this slide, I just want to point out that 2019, 20, and 2021, not that I have to remind people what that time period was, it was COVID. So the reason that that's important there is because you see, if you look on the surplus deficit under audited actual year-to-date numbers, those surpluses look higher than what you see going through. That is because all districts were not operating as normal. So expenditures weren't being paid as they normally had been paid. We were operating a little bit differently. There were services not being provided because things were virtual. So there was contracts that didn't need to be paid out. So that was an anomaly among all districts at that time period. So I think that's a big thing to note on that slide. On this next slide, this is post-COVID. This is what I call the financial impact of COVID. This is when districts starting in 21, 22 started to experience the expenses of COVID and what that brought about. And so as we progress through the budget, the other story that this tells is we started to have conversations that we wanted to reduce our use of fund balance and our dependency on fund balance. And as you see, we are working very hard towards that goal. There is one year that there's a little blip in that story, and that is 23-24. And we've discussed it. That was the closure of Carson Valley. That is when we had to, on our audit, recognize 100% special losses for the monies that were owed to us from districts because of Carson Valley. So there's an asterisk there. That's a little blip in how the progression has gone down with the use of fund balance. But outside of that, if you look at the trend right now we are working very hard towards going to reduce the dependency on fund balance. So I think that's very important to point out here. The other big importance is we're still carrying a $20 million fund balance. That is a very healthy fund balance. So I just wanted to make that known.
And I just want to reiterate something here. If you look at the red line at the top, the third line from the top across the last 5 years, you can see a reduction in our reliance on fund balance. And the suggestion, the recommendation for next year is a use of fund balance of approximately $715,000, which you don't see on the slide because it's the 6-7 number. And then you can see in the sixth row down the actual audited amount. And you can see that there is a reduction from the top number, the third number. For example, in 24-25, the budgeted number was 729,987, but we ended up using 650,684. We always strive during the course of the year to find efficiencies and use less fund balance than we had budgeted wherever possible. So we have tried to do that every year and been successful to this point, and we will aim to do that again as we move forward, because again, this is a budget. Actual is what do we actually need month to month, day to day. And so we'll continue to keep that in mind. You can also see, as Ms. Green mentioned, the tax increases were increasing over the last few years coming out of COVID. The Act 1 index had been increasing every year, and we'd been staying under that Act 1 cap. Last year, we did feel the need to come with a 4%, though it was a reduction on the increase from the previous year. And we are again decreasing our request from 4% to 3.5%.
So what's left in our budget planning? As I said, the proposed final budget was just presented. It was presented and discussed at the April 16th Finance Committee meeting. We are requesting approval at this meeting for approval of the budget as presented. It's a 3.5% proposed tax increase with expenditures of $78.1 million and a fund balance allocation of a little over $715,000. We are required to have a minimum 30-day public posting and review of the 26-27 proposed final budget. That is a PDE regulation. So that will happen after this evening all the way up until June 15th. At that time, final budget request for approval at the June 16th regular board meeting will be brought forward. At this time, there is no anticipated change from proposed final budget to the final budget. So we have this window that if anything were to happen that would dramatically change the numbers that we are talking about this evening, we would obviously take that back to Finance Committee meeting, and then those changes would be discussed at the June 16th meeting. At this time, on the outlook of everything, I do not anticipate that there will be any changes from proposed final to the final budget.
So we'd be happy to take questions. We know this was discussed in Finance Committee, and this is a lot of information, but anything at all that we can answer for you in order to help you make a decision on your vote a little later in the agenda, we'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, okay. Tatiana, thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right. At this time, we'll hear a report from the EEHSP and the STHSP from Haley Dennis and Nicole Willis. I do not see them here. Are they joining us online? I don't believe so. So why don't we save that report for later? We'll move on to the MPA report. Is Dr. Biel Tawfiq with us? All right, please come on up. Dr. Biel Tawfiq, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Evening, everyone. It is, we are a joy to be here every day that we are, one day at a time. So MPA, we've really just had a wonderful year. And as we bring the year to a close, we are excited that as we all prepare, we've been in collaboration. May 15th is International Water Safety Day, and we know how important that is. So we'll be working with the school district, sharing great resources for our family as we address the joys of water safety awareness that I'm glad our district is actively engaged in, as well as addressing the neglected public health threat of drowning among youth and children, especially among K to 12 in so many important levels, whether it's across our young men, across our diverse communities, across our children with special abilities and more. So with that in mind, we are excited with MPA that we will be hosting our last meeting of the school year on Thursday, May 28th at 6:30 p.m. at the Erdenheim School Library. We will be celebrating a late International Water Safety Day, but and I will be your presenter. So when you come ready for activity, because we will be addressing the importance of water safety, and we hope you all join us. And we hope that on May 15th, you will look forward as friends, family, and community to some wonderful activity for everybody being involved and continue to support all efforts in our district. Yay! Oh, come dressed for activity. Yes. That's all. Any questions? Hey.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll hear from our student representative to the board, Brian Martinez Cortez.
Hello, everyone. And in field, the school would like to thank the high school for continuing to build a strong connection with their youngest learners. On March 25th, the World Language Club visited and provided Spanish lessons to their second grade students. Additionally, on March 27th, the VOE Reading Buddies read with their kindergarten students, supporting early literacy and fostering positive relationships across grade levels. On March 26th, second graders participated in Pioneer Day as a final activity for the Unit on History and Early American Life. Students dressed in period clothing and engaged in various pioneer theme activities, including playing the classic word trail game, enhancing their understanding through hands-on learning. Then in Nordheim on March 20th and March 27th, they held their spring parent-teacher conferences at Nordheim. On March 20th, students and staff were invited to rock their socks in honor of World Down Syndrome Day. On April 26th, the Speeder Kids Running Club returned to Orem for a spring session. And then beginning on April 21st, they'll be managing PSSA testing for grades 3 and 5th at Orem. And then in middle school, spring sports are now underway, and students are actively participating across a variety of teams and activities. Construction efforts remain in full process. The auditorium and the clinical suite are in schedule and continue to show excellent progress. The school is also preparing for key student transitions. Plans are underway to support incoming sixth graders, including a scheduled parent information night on April 28th. Meanwhile, 8th grade students are preparing for the transition to high school and are looking forward to several upcoming activities and events planned through the end of the school year. In the high school, they've been pretty busy. March was full of energy, creativity, and Spartan pride. The Triad Music Honor Society planned service opportunities for marking period 3 and celebrate music in our school month. DECA Investment Club represented STHS at the state tournament with 36 attendees, a school record. Then the youth in government student attended the Preg-Leg session at the Middletown area high school, engaging in the legislative, traditional, and media simulations in preparation for the April Monarch Convention in Harrisburg. And they continue to run bills and represent Springfield with excellence. Then the Spartan Sectos are hard at work at the new arrangements and perform at the Baldwin Schools a cappella invitational. Then the SCHS Jazz Band performed at the Voice of Excellence brunch in celebration of Black History Month. Spartan Pep Band brought the energy to the ASA volleyball tournament on February 27th. The Spartan Steppers celebrated senior night. They are preparing on the exciting high energy performance to open the pep rally. Book Club wrapped up their discussions on the Tidy Money reads and are gearing up for the April theme judged by its cover. Voices of Excellence hosted Harlem Resonance themed Black History Month brunch and continuing community impact through the Reading Buddies, face-to-face, and more. Interact Club spread kindness through Valentine's cards, snapback packing, a sock drive, and service at cans at crayons. NHS held their interaction ceremony and continued meaningful projects like the Memory Project, Chairs, and for charity. ASA hosted an exciting March volleyball tournament. The CSO student leaders represent STHS at the spring cabinet meeting and are developing action plans, including bringing in a mental casting profession for hands-on career experience. Student Council held March Madness and are getting ready for the Red Cross Blood Drive, and Latino Society had a field trip to Xochimilco Cuisine to learn about the culture of food. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any comments or questions? Okay. Thank you. Very comprehensive indeed. At this time, we'll hear from our Finance Committee report, Mr. Neil DeFranco. Mr.
Thank you,
DeFranco?
Mr. Needleman. So my report's going to be a lot of what we just heard, but in 3 minutes. So should I do that?
Shall I start the timer?
So all right.
Okay.
No timer necessary. All right. I'll be a little bit briefer than that. Finance Committee met April 16th, 8 a.m. via Zoom. This is a brief summary of the key items discussed in attendance. Mr. Bedard, myself, Mr. Jordan. From the administration, we had Dr. Yannicone, Ms. Green, Mr. Coleman, Mrs. Holman. And then for our student reps, we had Alessandra Santarelli. I don't believe we had any public attendees that day. We began with the 2025-2026 financial status update by Ms. Green. Year to date, the district has collected approximately 87% of revenues and has expended about 67% of the budget. Administration noted that remaining expenditures for the year will primarily include salaries and benefits, utilities, contractual obligations, and end-of-year activities. We then moved on to the 2026-2027 proposed final budget presented by Dr. Yannicone and Ms. Green. The budget was developed using guiding principles aligned with the district's mission. The administration reviewed what the current 2025-2026 budget has provided to the community, including staffing adjustments and support for student activities, fully settled labor agreements, continued investment in technology, including device replacement and cybersecurity, ongoing facilities maintenance and capital improvements, including work associated with the middle school project. Ms. Green reviewed the district's revenue sources, which are primarily local at 79%, supplemented by state funding at 20% and federal funding at 1%. We also reviewed how those resources are allocated across instruction at 52%, support services at 33%, debt service and leases at 13%, non-instructional activities including athletics and student programs at 2%. Ms. Green also walked through the budget development process, including how revenue projections are established, how personnel costs are built, and how building level and departmental budgets are developed using both historical data and zero-based budgeting practices. Broader financial conditions impacting the budget were reviewed, including an inflation rate of approximately 3.3%, as well as rising energy costs. In addition, the administration discussed projected changes in federal and state funding, including the anticipated reduction of certain federal funding streams and continued uncertainty in the state budget timing. The proposed final budget includes total revenues of approximately $77.4 million, total expenditures of approximately $78.1 million, and the use of fund balance of approximately $715,000. The budget reflects a proposed 3.5% tax increase consistent with the Act 1 index. Compared to the prior first look budget, expenditures were reduced by approximately $946,000, driven by attritional savings and reduced debt service following the recent bond refinancing. This adjustment also lowered the planned use of fund balance. The administration also reviewed tax increase scenarios ranging from 3% to 3.5%, including the estimated annual and monthly impact on taxpayers. At the proposed 3.5% increase, the estimated impact on the average taxpayer is approximately $218 annually, or about $18 per month. Dr. Yannicone reviewed key additions to the 2026-2027 budget, including facilities and safety projects as part of the district's multi-year capital plan, technology upgrades and continued cybersecurity investments, curriculum updates including K-8 math, expanded support for student programs and activities, annual increases related to salaries and benefits. Ms. Green also reviewed historical budget trends and the timeline for adoption. The proposed final budget is on the agenda for consideration at this evening's board meeting, followed by the required public review period with final adoption anticipated in June. There was no public comment, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. DeFranco. I wasn't timing it, but I'm pretty sure that was less than 3 minutes.
It was the short version.
Okay, fair enough. Are there any comments or questions? All right, at this time, we'll hear an Academic Affairs Committee report from Katie Davenport.
Good evening. The Academic Affairs Committee met yesterday, Monday, April 20th at 4 o'clock via Zoom, and we heard presentations about 3 important and interesting topics. The first one was the K-8 math implementation that you just alluded to as part of the district's implementation of the CKLA program and other priorities. Curriculum review of a new K-8 math program has been postponed for 1 year. As such, Dr. Johnston requested that we get a 1-year extension of our current math program, which is Envision, and just we'll be doing that new curriculum revision cycle the following year. So 1-year extension for 26-27, and then we'll hopefully be looking at a new thing in 27-28. Accurate? Okay. The committee supported moving this item forward for a vote by the full board. The second topic we discussed was district calendars. So starting at 1 meeting ago in March, draft school calendars were reviewed, and at that time, the committee requested that the administration explore opportunities to reduce the number of early dismissal days, aka half days, throughout the school year. In response, the administration developed alternative calendar options and reviewed them with the Parent Advisory Group, Building Leadership, and STEA leadership prior to presenting them to us. In these proposed revisions, the number of half days in the school year will be reduced from 11 to 5, primarily by turning half days either into full days or no school days. Additionally, the administration used this opportunity to revise the calendar format so it is clearer and easier to use. And we'll note that the total number of instructional minutes actually goes up in this plan, so we're not losing instructional time, we're actually gaining it. And the committee supports moving this item forward for a vote by the full board today. Finally, Dr. Yannicone shared with us some new expectations from the state, which have come with no reduction of existing expectations. Or any more money. Correct. The first is structured literacy. This is a nationally recognized research-based approach to teaching reading. The state has sort of a phased implementation plan, which involves identifying and reporting our reading instructional materials that are in line with structured literacy, giving benchmark assessments 3 times per year, and starting in 27-28, notifying parents if a student is at risk for a reading deficiency and developing reading intervention plans. We heard about how the first 2 of those district is really already doing, and our plan to continue with the state's guidance about faculty training over the next years. Second state requirement, cursive instruction. School districts must begin cursive handwriting instruction as part of ELA programming beginning in 26-27. We have some flexibility regarding the timing and implementation. Our current CKLA program does include some supplemental cursive materials, and so no additional materials are required at this time. Finally, FAFSA requirement. The state will require that the state would like for all high school seniors to either complete the FAFSA or complete a form saying they are not completing the FAFSA. And the state requires that the school district ensure that that happens and document their attempts to ensure that that happens. And we know that the district will complete all of these tasks excellently well. There was no public comment. Our next meeting is June 1st at 4 p.m. and I hope you will all be there.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments or questions?
I just have a comment, just for the record, to advise for people to go and look at the new calendars, because there's some definite adjustments and changes in current practice, especially looking at the next school year, and I think the school year after, where we start before Labor Day.
Yes, thank you.
Because that is going to mess with people.
Yes. It's my intention, assuming an approval of the calendars this evening, that they will be included in the district newsletter next week and every month thereafter.
Thank you.
But
Yeah.
the before Labor Day start is not because of the half-day change. It's going to happen anyway because of when Labor Day.
Yes. Yeah, we have an August 31st start, which will be very unusual for people, right?
Yes, I believe it is 2 days earlier than this current year was started. And I know it's painful for some. And we will get back to after Labor Day in the 28-29 school year. Look forward to that. All right.
And then onward from there, or
I
it
think
seems
we're,
like there's a
we're
lot of-
3 years ahead. I'd love it if we could just like continue to go 3 years ahead. No promises on 29, 20, on 20 and 30 just yet.
Seems like it's happening.
I think so. I think so.
Guess this would be a good time to talk about year-round school, right? No, I guess not. Okay. All right. Are there any other comments or questions? All right, at this time, we'll take public comment on agenda items. I don't see any folks joining us in person, so I'll turn to the folks who are joining us online and just ask if you want to make a comment on an agenda item, please raise a digital hand. I'll remind folks as well that we do have a 3-minute time limit on your comment. And at the start of your comment, I'll just ask that you identify where you live in the district. And I don't see any hands raised, so I believe we can move on. Okay. Why don't we move on to the business of the meeting? That said, we'll vote on approval of minutes from last meeting. The Board of School Directors approves the board minutes from the regular board meeting of March 17th, 2026. Are there any comments or questions from members of the board? Anyone feel that they need to abstain from this vote? All right, do I have a motion? And a second? 2 seconds, even better. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any nays? And any abstentions? All right. Approval of our treasurer's report for the month that ended March 31, 2026 is next up. Are there any comments or questions on this report? Seeing none. Do I have a motion? And a second? All right. All those in favor say aye. All the nays? And are there any abstentions? All right. Moving on to personnel, the Board of School Directors approves the following personnel as presented in the attachment. Are there any comments or questions? All right. Do I have a motion? And a second? All right, 2 seconds, even better. Are there any abstentions? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And we've already dealt with the abstentions. Moving on to our general healthcare resources addendum. This is an addendum to our personnel contracts. The Board of School Directors approves the addendum to the contract with general healthcare resources for updated rates for related services and substitute staffing needs effective July 1, 2026. Are there any comments or questions? All right, let's move to a vote. Do I have a motion? And a second? All right, thank you. Any abstentions? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And any opposed, say nay. All right. Moving on, the Board of School Directors approves the updated contract with Abington Speech Pathology Services Incorporated to update rates of pay for as-needed related service supports effective September 1, 2026. Are there any comments or questions on this proposal? All right. Is there a motion? And a second? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any nays? And any abstentions? Very good. Moving on, the Board of School Directors approves the updated contract with the Kelly Pediatric Therapy, formerly Pediatric boy, that's easy for me to say, Pediatric Therapy Services, reflecting changes in rates for related service supports on an as-needed basis effective July 1, 2026. Are there any comments or questions on this proposal? All right. Does anyone feel as though they need to abstain from voting on this? Do I have a motion? And a second?
Sorry.
All right. All those in favor say aye. And any nays? All right. Academic affairs. These next two are just resolution only and do not require vote. Okay. The attached conferences have been approved for district staff in accordance with district policy and procedures, which is attached as at the board agenda conference, pardon me. And the attached field trips have been approved for students of the district in accordance with district policies and procedures, also attached. Moving on to the Savas Envision Mathematics for grades K to 8. The Board of School Directors, upon recommendation of the Academic Affairs Committee, approves an agreement with the Savas Learning Company for Envision Mathematics, including extension for grades K to 5 and adoption for grades 6 to 8 in the amount of $88,270.17 as presented. Are there any comments or questions? All right. Does anyone feel as though they need to abstain from this vote? May I have a motion and a second? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And any nays? All right. As was discussed earlier, we'll deal now with the 26, 27, 27, 28, and 28, 29 school calendars. The Board of School Directors approves the revisions to the 2026, 2027, 2027, 2028, and 28, 2029 school calendars. Are there any comments or questions? All right. Is there anyone who feels they need to abstain from this vote? Do I have a motion? And a second? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And any nays? Moving on to finance. This is the 2026, 2027 proposed final budget. The Board of School Directors, as recommended by the Finance Committee, approves the following: the adoption of the 2026, 2027 proposed school final budget and the advertisement and public inspection of the 2026, 2027 final budget on Form PDE 2028 and the homestead/farmstead exclusion. That was a mouthful. Are there any comments or questions? All right. Does anyone feel as though they need to abstain from this vote? Do I have a motion? And a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. And any nays? All right. Staying in the finance section of our meeting, we're going to talk now about the acceptance of the donation from the Giant Food Company. The Board of School Directors accepts the donation from the Giant Company to support this district's food service program in the amount of $8,046.50. Are there any comments or questions on this donation? All right. Do I have a motion? And a second? All right. Anyone feel as though they need to abstain from this vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any nays? All right, moving on to policy. The Board of School Directors approves the revisions to Board Policy 105.2, exemption from instruction as provided. Are there any comments or questions on this?
Yeah, just one. I think there's some formatting that needs to be fixed in the
attachment?
in the policy itself.
Yes, Mrs. Shaw will revise that and take care of it when she publishes them
Great.
following vote.
Lovely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Aberley. Any other comments or questions? All right. Do I have a motion? And a second? All right. All those in favor say aye. And any nays? And any abstentions? Very good. Moving on, the Board of School Directors approves the revisions to Board Policy 221, Student Dress and Grooming as provided. Any comments or questions on this? Very good. Does anyone feel as though they need to abstain from this vote? Very good. Do I have a motion? And a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. And any nays? Moving on to staff grooming and dress, the Board of School Directors approves the revisions to Board Policy 325, staff dress and grooming as provided. Are there any comments or questions on this proposal? All right. Does anyone feel as though they need to abstain from this vote? All right. All those in favor say, did I have a motion? I don't think I have a motion on this. Do I have a motion? All right. Thank you. And a second? All right. All those in favor say aye. And any nays? All right. Moving on to revised policy 816, district social media. The Board of School Directors approves the revisions to board policy 816, district social media as provided. The lights went out. That was a sign, I think. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Let's hope it's not a metaphor for everything. The Board of School Directors approves the revisions to the board policy 816, district social media as provided. Are there any comments or questions on this proposal? All right. Is there anyone who feels that they cannot, they need to abstain from voting on this proposal? Do I have a motion? And a second? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And any nays? At this time, we'll take public comment on non-agenda items. I do not see that anyone who is joining us in person has signed up to speak. So I'll turn now to the folks joining us online. If you do want to make a comment on a non-agenda item, please raise a digital hand. And I'll take this moment too to just remind everybody we do have a 3-minute time limit. And at the beginning of your comment, I'll just ask you to identify where you live in the district. All right. I don't see any digital hands raised, so I believe we can move on to future meeting dates. We have an interim board meeting on May 5th, which is hybrid. It'll be held here in the library. And a regular board meeting on Monday, May 18th, 2026, also hybrid. We have a policy committee meeting on Monday, April 27, 2026 at 5 p.m., which is virtual. And a property committee meeting on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026 at 8 a.m., which is also virtual. Finally, we have an academic affairs committee meeting on Monday, June 1st, 2026. Oh, June is right around the corner, isn't it? Wow, better get it together. At 4 p.m., which is also virtual. And at this time, I'll ask any members of the board if they wish to make a comment. Dr. Yannicka? Do you wish to make a comment?
I'll just make one comment, which is we want to wish all of our administrative assistants a happy Administrative Assistants Day, which is tomorrow. Thank you.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I echo that sentiment. Happy Administrative Professionals Day. And with that, I think we can close the meeting. Good night, everybody.